Hello, my name is Noreen.
I'm Genna, and welcome to This Way Up.
Episode 4.
How's everything going?
It's going.
Things are going. Happy New Year. It's the new year.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
It's a roller coaster, I will say. But we're in a little you know what? I'm gonna give it a big up. We're on the part of the Leviathan right before the fall. So I'm feeling good.
I think there should be no fall. I don't think I can take the fall.
Minus the fall. It's just Leviathan top right now. That's how we're feeling.
At the top, yeah. Yeah, I feel that.
How are you? How were your holidays?
They were good, but there's just a lot going on.
There's a lot going on, I agree.
Yeah.
You're hosting a huge conference the next weekend or so. Yeah, about a week from now. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And you're like bringing together a whole bunch of Eng students from all over, right? Women in engineering. That's pretty cool. How are you feeling about that?
A little nervous, but I'm excited.
That's good.
Mostly, I'm excited to see you on the panel.
Yeah, that's so fun.
Yeah.
I saw like the little post that you put up on the account, and I read out loud what you said about all the panelists, and I was like, stop.
You put them in yourself. The bios are...
No, not the bio. I mean like, oh, these women are on the...
ChatGPT.
Oh, okay, it's ChatGPT. Well...
Yeah, shout out to the marketing team.
Regardless,
on the team.
That really like gassed me up quite a bit. I felt very good after that.
But you should feel good all the time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So kind of back to that topic, a whole bunch is going on. I think it sounds like we're both quite overwhelmed with a whole bunch of things going on.
Yeah.
Do you want to speak to that a bit? Like, what's going on? Why do you feel kind of overwhelmed with everything going on?
I feel like there's just so much on my mind at once that's like consistently running. There's school, there's this conference, also doing another conference, and then like applying for jobs and actual school work to do. Yeah. And I'm also working. Yeah. I don't know why I chose to do so much. This is my final year. I feel like I should have taken it a little bit easier, but who am I if I'm not doing too much?
Do you feel like some of that is FOMO? Sometimes I question myself. I doubt myself and question myself. Am I doing a whole bunch of stuff right now because I'm enjoying it? Or because it's the reverse motivation pushing me? It's the FOMO thinking I'm going to miss out on things if I don't do this right now.
I don't think it's FOMO. I feel like I'm sad. This is my final year.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel a little... It's not so much I'm not going out of my comfort zone, because definitely I feel like I'm pushing myself in like other ways. Yeah. But it's like I've had such a good time during my time at school. Like there's been great grades, like grade ups, but also downs, which I think there's come with it. But I've really had a really great time here. Like I feel like I've learned so much. I've done so much. I grew so much as a person that it kind of feels weird that it's coming to an end, and like there's no fail safe. Like it's not like I was on my co-op where I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go back. Yeah. There's always school. There's always something to fall back. It's not there anymore. So it feels a little weird.
Yeah, I get that. I think I'm in the same boat in that when it comes to feeling overwhelmed, I feel like something's always slipping. Like that's what's been going on in my mind for the last week or so. Something feels like it's slipping. Work, if I'm like not killing it, finally get to a spot where I'm like, okay, killing it, I'm getting everything done. Then I feel like, okay, sleep is hugely suffering. I feel like a walking zombie. Or if that's also unchecked, then my social life is suffering. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm not seeing people enough. Then it's like, okay, am I pouring enough of me into my friendships and relationships? Like I feel like the last 2 days or so I've been like, oh my God, I wonder if I'm giving enough to my friends like I usually expect myself to do, or feel, not expect myself, that has a weird connotation. I'm going to say as much as I want to on a daily basis, you know, because you know me, I'm the kind of person I like to pour a lot of myself into my friendships and checking in on people, making sure they're okay, being there for people. I think I definitely have been feeling a little bit of a disconnect there too. Like, I wonder if I'm doing enough there. So it's kind of just feeling like lots is going on. How do I give enough of myself to everything? Yeah. Right?
How do you deal with that feeling of like something slipping? Because I get it too all the time. It's like I'm trying to juggle like 10 different things, and like one is just not, like it's at the back of my mind consistently, but it's just I don't have the time commitment to put into it, and I just can't figure out how do I balance all 30 things that I've put on my plate at once.
I don't know. I feel like that's such a loaded question. I feel like if I had the answer, I wouldn't be feeling this way at all. You know what I mean?
Fair.
But I think it just comes back to me being like, okay, how much can I do in a day?
Yeah.
Right? I'm just human. Like, I think we've talked about that before, that third party perspective. Sometimes I'll think of it as, okay, if someone else just came to me and said, hey, I have XYZ things going.
Yeah.
What do I do? It's that instinct of like, hey, you're human, that comes very easily towards other people, that you have to apply to yourself and be like, okay, I can only do so much. I need some sleep. I need this. And I think it's also just about surrounding yourself with people that'll understand, that want for you to feel rested and good and energized and expect things out of you, because that's natural when you have friends and relationships and all of that. Like, there are expectations. But I think surrounding yourself with the kind of people you feel safe with and that you know will be okay, saying, hey, prioritize yourself right now. Prioritize the rest right now. I'll be okay. I think that's also important.
Yeah, I get that. I also feel like I at least have a habit of saying yes to everything that comes to me, and it's really bad. And I wonder if it goes back to us having this feeling of wanting to be the do-it-all girl, like wanting to be able to do every single thing. Like, yeah, I can do this and that and that and that, and just saying yes to anything and everything in front of us, and not really, giving enough support to our mental support, and just putting that aside and saying yes to everything else.
Because I feel like in our minds, that's an easy thing to let slip. Like, if we can sacrifice on anything out of the, 100 things on our plate, it's like, meh, if I'm doing a little shitty today, that's fine. If I feel a little tired tomorrow, hey, that's fine.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm getting to the point now, though, where I'm like, I can't afford to let myself feel this tired. Yeah. Like, it's not okay. Last night I slept for 11 hours, okay? 11 hours.
As you should.
Because all week I was not getting enough sleep. I'd wake up feeling like I just ran a marathon overnight every single day. And I was like, okay, there's only so much I can there's only so much I can give in terms of slack to my health that way. I need to recuperate. I need this moment.
Yeah.
And that meant me being like, okay, out of the usual, number of plans that pop up for the weekend, I have to say no to some. I have to be okay with missing out on certain things.
Yeah.
And just let myself get that amount of rest.
Yeah.
And I did that, and it was good. It's tricky though. Because your mind will be like, oh no, but you could do this, you could do that. I also do think though a lot of this is personality type. We are the kind of people that want to do everything. I wonder how much of it is like conditioning. I wonder how much of it is like, get you a girl that can do both. Like, you know what I mean? Like, how much of it is that, where we're just expected to do a whole bunch of things to feel worthy?
That's true. That is really true. Like, it is that whole pressure of like, oh, I need to be able to do this and this and this and this. And so you're just going around saying yes to anything and everything. And like, you put your mental health at stake. And I'm just thinking back, like, full disclosure to the watchers. We were supposed to film this last week. Yeah. And the elevator doors open. I go downstairs and we both just looked at each other and we're like, no, I can't. I can talk to you.
Yeah.
I just don't think I can sit down and film this.
Yeah. A week ago, I came here, traveled all the way up here, and I was like, okay, let's do this. But yeah, we both looked at each other and we were like, yeah, it's not happening today. We're just going to get sushi. We're going to chill out. We're just going to talk about the weather and everything else, but we're just not going to do this tonight because we both just felt so dead, right? Yeah. Like, I think it was just about recognizing that and being okay with it. And I feel like in my mind, it was a little built up to be like, oh man, like things are riding on this. Like you are riding on this happening today and other people's schedules are on the line. But again, it comes back to being around people that'll get it, that also want to prioritize their health and feeling okay. Yeah. And I think it ended up fine.
I was feeling the same thing too. I'm like, shit, like I know she's coming all the way here. Like I know we should film this, but my brain was just like shutting down slowly. It was like, no, you need to get some sleep. You need to get some sleep. You just need to not think about anything, not do anything super high energy. Yeah. And as soon as I think we saw each other, that we both just got it. It was like, we're like, hey, nope. Not today.
Nope, not today.
Let's go do something else today. Let's hang out today. Yeah. Let's not film a podcast today. Like, yeah, I love talking on the podcast, but I think it's important to have conversations that are not filmed. Yeah. So I think that really helped. That was a good day. I feel like I got a lot of just mental relief after that day, like last week, but we're still going through it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's also, again, like, everything just comes back to the weather, huh? It's always the freaking weather. I feel like I saw this TikTok the other day where it was like, oh, like, your body is in hibernation mode because it's winter. Mm-hmm. Don't expect it to do the same things you can do during the winter. I mean, during the summer. Yeah. Which made me think, that would be nice, but no one acknowledges that. Like, it just is the way it is.
Yeah. I feel like as a society, I think it's fair. I personally think there should be a standard that you shouldn't be expected to perform as highly in the winter as you do in the summer, because see me in the summer, I'm out and about every single day. Like, I'm going to be outside, exploring new places, going to new things, and just, just doing anything and everything but sitting at home. And now it's like, don't want to get out of my bed. Do not make me wake up. I wake up for my morning classes. I look at the weather and I'm like, you know what? It's fine. I'm not going to go to class. And I just go back to bed. And it sucks because I should probably be going to class and I just don't feel as productive because the weather is just so shit. It's cold. It's just not it.
It's like everything kind of hinges on it, and everyone is going through it because of it. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like so many of my friends around me, they're also going through it. So sometimes I'm having days where I come home and I'm like, wow, I just really don't feel up to the mark. Yeah. And I want to reach out to a friend, but my instinct is, hey, I know she's probably also having a rough time right now. And she is. Like, a lot of my friends are also in that phase where they're like, oh, not feeling the best, kind of feeling a little, like, anxious and just not up to the mark. And with that in mind, it feels even more difficult to kind of reach out because I'm like, I want to provide as much of me and support as I can to my friends, but I'm also going through it, sis. We're all in this together. So it's weird. Like, how do you navigate that when you want to be there for people and support and do all of that, but everyone's kind of going through it, which seems like it is the theme of the month, at least right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think there just needs to be more conversations around the fact that we're all feeling like shit right now. Like, I think it's just that we don't talk about it enough. And it's like, I know I feel like shit and that other person is probably feeling shit, But maybe we need to just, like, do something so low energy. Yeah. And we can do it with one another. It just doesn't have to be super high energy activity all the time. Like, maybe just sit down next to each other and then scroll through our, like, feeds and, like, be like, hey, look at this TikTok. And, like, just something so low energy, but you still feel that companionship next to you. Because, I don't know, like, winters are just so gloomy and they at least make me feel really isolated sometimes.
Yeah, me too. And I think I feel so fortunate. Like, I agree. The conversation part is important. I feel so fortunate that like, I'm working a very, like, high-powered kind of long hours kind of job. But the job I'm in is one in which this week only, I walked into work one day and I sat down and I was having a bit of a development session with my boss and his boss. And we sat down and I could just be so honest. And I was like, I'm tired. Like, everything is great. I feel like I'm killing it. Work is going good. I feel confident. Shit is good. I'm just so tired. And they were like, yeah, I get it. Yeah. And the next morning we spoke again. They were like, you know what? Thought about what you said. I'm tired too. And I was like, great. So it's not just me. Everyone's tired. Yeah. So it felt really good that I could sit there and talk to them and be like, hey, this is what it is. Mm-hmm. Shit is hard. Like, and they could also relate to it. And it felt like you just have to have that conversation. And be like, I'm not feeling up to the mark. Be it in a work setting, be it not. And I know that not all work settings are as, inviting when it comes to things like this. But the hope is that everyone can just be honest about what their level is, what they're bringing into a meeting or a day of work, and that's it. Like, there was an organization at U of T when I was there, and I worked closely with them. They, like, helped club leaders start up and maintain their clubs. And the lady that ran that organization with the university said that we start every meeting doing a little check-in with everybody at any meeting. Yeah. Quick 3-word check-in of how you're feeling and what you're bringing to the table in the meeting. And I thought that was so cool because it's just a meeting. Could be an hour talking about, whatever it is. Something very specific, niche, in fact. But regardless of what the task was, everyone just started with, like, a little 3-word check-in. Yeah. So you kind of knew that, okay, they're not feeling the best right now, or this person's kind of bringing more energy. Maybe we can look to them to kind of invigorate the rest of the conversation. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah.
I thought you would enjoy that because you do a lot of this club work and organization work. I thought you'd enjoy that. Yeah.
No, honestly, I think that's such a great way to kind of establish how everyone's feeling. Because honestly speaking, there's meetings that I go to sometimes and I'm just so tired and dead. And it's like I don't want to be in part of the conversation as much as I can be on other days, but I know there's other people who can definitely bring so much more to the table right now. So I honestly am going to take that and see if I can incorporate it because it seems like a great way to kind of just balance everything out. And I actually want to go back to what you were saying like earlier about talking to your boss and was like, hey, I'm not feeling that great. And I think what really is difficult to have those conversations is we just live in a world where it's always go, go, go. And it's like, you need to feel productive 24/7. You need to be on the move. You need to be doing something. Yeah. And sometimes you just need to do nothing. And it's really difficult because with school, it's like I need to be working on this lab. I need to be working for this. I got to study for this and then work. And it's just a lot of things. It's like if I just sit down for 5 minutes and not do anything, like I feel so guilty.
Yes.
And it really sucks. But I think if the world just made it a little bit easier to navigate the conversations of resting and not just being go, go, go all the time, like I think we'd be better at balancing this out.
I think the world kind of is there though. In fact, I think we're on the other end of the spectrum in terms of media right now because there's a lot of content out there on self-care, okay? There's a lot out there, I feel, today more than ever before. Yeah. And I feel like it's almost a dangerous kind of conundrum right now because it's like either there's people that maybe haven't been exposed that much to that or haven't invited that kind of media and content into their mind that much. So it's like us, where we're like, oh my God, I need to do a billion things right now. And, you know, it hasn't really penetrated us like that versus on the other end I'm sure there's people that maybe are more exposed to that kind of media and take that to be holy grail, so beyond that there's nothing else and self-care becomes this priority to an extent that you're not pushing yourself as much. Like I feel like maybe society is just like this, maybe media is just like this, things swing very like drastically from one direction to the other. It's hard to have a balance in terms of messaging out there, in terms of content. So that's what I feel is kind of a dangerous kind of,
I agree with you,
flip side to things.
Something I actually want to mention, like there's a lot of self-care stuff out there, but sometimes I feel like it's masked. Like sometimes I see self-care videos, but underlying it's productivity videos. Like at least that's what I see. Like my For You page, my TikTok, Instagram, just full of like aesthetic calendar days, the basic stuff that I do. But when it's like, oh, like I need to have a day off, like maybe I just spend like a couple hours doing my skincare, I'll see like, oh, I block off time to do my skincare. So it's like it's reframed in a really interesting but I need to be productive still way.
It's like you need to have self-care, but self-care needs to look a certain way for it to be real self-care. And to be fair, that's fine. Like I think rotting in our couch is maybe not the same thing as like having this very aesthetically pleasing day with your skincare and this and that. But I almost think it's like, that's a good point. I think there's self-care content out there that's branded to mask this underlying need to be this perfect self-carer. And then there's, like what I was saying before, there's self-care out there, there's content out there on it that is, in fact, saying things like maybe you are good, like you are always good, don't have to push yourself, take it easy, you're not the problem, everything else is, everyone else is. I feel like that could also be problematic. Right? And it's like, you have to be so careful when you consume media. Just because it's hard to communicate very like nuanced, complex ideas in a 30-second reel. How do you do that?
I agree. And it's really weird because I recognize that and I try to limit my time on like social media, but then I get sometimes FOMO. Like literally the other day where on like my student group like Discord. We use Discord to communicate.
First of all, I'm so sorry. I don't know how people use Discord. What are we?
I had to get used
Gamers?
to it.
What is going on?
It's not. I don't think it's a gamer thing anymore. I feel like everyone uses it.
Then why is the UX so gamer?
It was made for gamers.
Okay,
that's
clearly,
what it was.
because a person like you would never be able to use Discord.
No, literally. Like I know the basics, but that's all I know. Like I can set up a nice server for someone who needs to use it for professional reasons, which is not at all what it was made for. But yeah, so I'm like, let me just create this little like thread and see like ideas to come up with to promote our ticket sales like externally. And someone in there mentioned like this random like reference to a TikTok. I was like, what are you talking about? And they're just like this. And I was like, I still have no idea what you're talking about. And it's like, maybe it's just like the content and the media that I consume. I don't really see most of it, but I also go out of my way and try to limit my time on social media. So it's like,
that's awesome.
So but it's like, then people are talking about these things around me and I'm like, I don't know if I'm just old. I don't know if I'm just not like seeing the stuff that you're seeing, but I'm just sitting there like, I have no idea what this is. And, they'll explain it to me and I'm like, that not help me at all. Like,
it's true. I feel like, a lot of, again, going back to self-care and what you should be doing to truly like decompress and what's really good for you. Put your phone away. Don't look. Yeah. I think it's kind of hard to actually implement some of that because it's like everything is out there on the internet now. What are you supposed to do? And people make it sound like it's easy, and some people are brave enough, and I think give credit where it's due. They actually are strong for this. They can get off Instagram and not be on it and do their thing. Yeah. I personally think it's really difficult. I will fully say it. I scroll. Yeah. I watch scroll. Let's maybe if that's the term. I sit there, I scroll. Because when you come home for a long, long day and you don't have the energy to do, this is my 10-step skincare routine and I made this healthy meal from scratch. All you can do to really turn your brain off is put something on, right? Yeah. Like, or scroll through like TikTok, Instagram, whatever. So I do it shamelessly. But like you said, it's like, ideally, it is probably a good idea somewhere to limit that stuff. Yeah. It's difficult to do it, but hey, it's probably for the better.
Yeah, right? I do agree. It is difficult, honestly, but I think I spend more time watching Netflix than I do social media, which...
Good, yeah.
I don't think it's any better.
I don't know if it's any better, but in my house, like, good, yeah.
I don't know if it's any better. Like, I spend a shit ton of, like, my watch time just watching shows and movies, but am I being productive with that time? Probably not. And I feel like... See, here's my take. I think the media that I consume on social media is more toxic than what I would consume on like TVs and movies and stuff.
Agreed, yeah.
But I arguably spend more time watching a TV show because it's 40 minutes an episode versus a 30-second video on TikTok, Yeah. So it's like, what is the lesser of the two evils?
Yeah. I agree. I think honestly at this point, it's kind of just like, we have it hard enough. There's a billion things going on. I think it's fine. Like I was telling this to somebody this week as well, like, you gotta be forgiving. Like, it is what it is. I literally instilled this idea in them. I was like, next time we do something not so productive, not so good, we would like couch rot for a bit, or we just needed a break, so we just scrolled for an hour. Just go, I scrolled, I decompressed, period.
That's true.
Just say period. Because it's like, if you're not forgiving towards these, like these tasks and this kind of behavior, no one else is going to be. And it's just going to be this like cycle of like punishing yourself for doing stuff. Because the fact is, we're in a place where, like, it is hard to evade media. It is hard to evade social media, content out there. You can be mindful about it. You can consume it mindfully, but it's hard to just completely evade it.
That's true. And I think another thing to mention is no one else knows your watch time, your screen time, like how long you've spent on an app. Like, it's just you, and you're guilting yourself for like, oh, I spent like 2 hours scrolling on TikTok today, but only you know you spent 2 hours like on TikTok. Nobody else is telling you that, hey, you weren't productive with those 2 hours. And realistically, you could have used those 2 hours to decompress, whether it be watching TikToks or, doing something else. Like, you needed that time to decompress, and regardless of how you do it. And I guess in a world that is such go, like, maybe you just need a quick like turn my brain off and just watch TikTok for 2 hours and decompress. Yeah, like maybe you don't have the mental energy to put into something like, let me go read a book for 2 hours. Yeah. Or sometimes it's just not doable.
It's not doable. Yeah. I think it gets harder and harder to, like, be it with the weather, be it with everything. It gets harder and harder to make healthier choices in terms of how you decompress. Yeah. So the fact that you can do it at all is a good thing. Do it. Yeah. And again, I feel like we're veering into territory of, you're good. You're not the problem. Everything else is just do whatever you want. But, like, it's like you have to be mindful. But there's nothing wrong in allowing yourself to take the space up that you need in the moment. It's fine.
I think we just need to figure out a balance. Yeah. Because I do get it. It's very extremes of the two. It's either...
two schools of thought there,
It's really difficult. Sometimes, like, it's hard to find a balance. And I think what we forget about, sometimes a balance doesn't mean, like, straight in the middle. Yeah. It could be slightly skewed, but... I think it depends on the situation and what's person. Going on. Yes. Right. So I think you need to know where that meter falls when it comes to the situation or the person or whatever it is. But like, you definitely have to be very mindful of the two extremes in any case, I think. But
it's true. Like, even as simple as, like, I go to spin class, right? And some instructors are very, like, push, push, push. Like, my only rule in this class is that you hold on 1 second longer than you can, than you think you can. Yeah. And then there's other instructors and they go, listen, all I care about is that you're sweating, you're having a good time. Don't push yourself. If you can't do it, sit down in that chair, you're fine. Yeah. And it's, like, that has made me think about it so much. Like, the two schools of thought in terms of pushing yourself and being, and in self-improvement, it's like, how do you navigate between wanting to push yourself that hard versus acknowledging where you should stop and just be like, I'm good, it's fine. Yeah. And I think, again, why I said it depends on the person so much is because I think it's important to recognize if you have tendencies that veer on the edge of, I'm going to push until a breaking point, I'm going to push, then you know that you're going to have to kind of overcorrect.
Exactly.
Switch into that mode and say, no, I have to emphasize to myself that I'm fine. What I'm doing is okay. The effort I'm putting into my day-to-day, into my relationships, my friendships, my work is okay. Yeah. You kind of have to recognize your tendencies and according to that, filter out the kind of consumption of media you do, the consumption of the people around you, the interaction you have with them. You kind of have to filter things according to those tendencies you recognize in yourself. Yeah.
I also think going back to pushing yourself over the edge or to your breaking point is sometimes so glorified in social media. Yeah. They will be like, no, you are really putting in a lot of work. But I think as humans, it's not so much making progress if we're pushing ourselves over the edge or like to a breaking point. Yeah. I think it's progress regardless of you seeing it every single day or not. It's the little steps you take towards reaching that bigger thing that you want to, whether it be a goal or not. It could just be something as little as like, hey, I want to go see my friends more, or like whatever it is. You don't have to push yourself over the edge to accomplish something. It can just be little things that you make. That's so true. It's just the little efforts that matter. And I think it really sucks because I've seen it everywhere on social media. It's like, you have to just keep pushing. You have to, sometimes you just need a break. You just need to take a break, and that's all you need to get back on track. You don't have to push yourself and go to a breaking point and then go all the way back, like you mentioned. And it's like, let me overcorrect what I messed up and then go back on track. I think that takes a little bit longer than just, let me take a break.
Yeah, I agree.
Let me just breathe. Yeah.
And I think in general, all of this, like, what to do, what you should be doing, what's good for self-improvement, what's not. I think so much of it, the biggest question there is according to what meter, according to whose standards, like who, right? And I feel like at the end of the day, if you are able to kind of acknowledge that it's you're the one that kind of sets the standard there, figure out what your expectations are, calibrate them to human and doable levels, then that's it, right? Like, then that's your own bar. It doesn't matter what you think, what anyone else thinks. It's like, this is my bar. I'm going to celebrate my milestones and my wins. And whether that falls on this end of the spectrum, closer to breaking point vibes, if it falls on this end of the spectrum where it's like, I'm going to be so extremely forgiving and go with the flow, so be it. I think that's what it is. I think the key to everything is, as long as you're the barometer, you're the one setting the standards, it doesn't matter what end of the spectrum you're in, what kind of balance you have, right?
That's true. I think, like, it does come down to you figuring out what works best for you.
Right.
And it gets really difficult with different people doing different things. I mean, like, hey, I did this, maybe you should try it. And it's really about like, hey, I get it, that worked for you, but will it work for me? Like, you really need to sit down and like reevaluate, like, how do I work as a person? How do I like look at things? How do I approach situations? And
what fills my cup? Like, what will make me feel good?
Exactly. Yeah.
I like that. That's really good.
Yeah.
I think as much as it's like a gloomy time and everyone's kind of over the edge and everyone's having a tough time, a tough go at it, I think it comes down to that. Yeah, like knowing your own tendencies, figuring out what you need in the moment, and that's kind of what it is. Yeah. Is there something that you, having said all of this now, like you've taken away that you want to do for the next little bit? Because I know you have an especially challenging next little bit coming. Yeah. With finishing up school.
I think I just need to be forgiving. Like you said, I just need to be forgiving when I take a break, because I sometimes sit down, do nothing for a bit, and I'm like, I feel so tired. And I feel like I should be doing work. And I, like, realistically, when I'm tired, I'm not putting 100% of my mental into doing my work. And it doesn't come out to the best quality that I want it to. And then I feel guilty on top of that. So it's like, hey, if I need to take a break, just take a damn break. Right? Yeah. Just take the break and don't feel bad about it. Get to my work when I'm a little bit more 100%. Just like we did last weekend when we were like, hey, I don't think I'm going to do a great podcast right now. Just do it when we feel a little bit better. Like, honestly, today I'm like, okay, I could do this. Last weekend, if you asked me,
you were not okay.
I was not okay with it. Yeah.
I think what I'm taking away is it's fine to scroll. Yeah. Scroll away. Yeah. But I think have a bit of a kind of conscious voice at the back of your head when you're scrolling. Because, it's hard. How do you communicate these huge nuanced ideas that people try and communicate in a 30-second reel? It doesn't happen. It's not easy. But that being said, I think there's nothing wrong with kind of falling into a pattern according to the times. Like, if it is the time, again, where social media is king and there's content absolutely everywhere, and that is some sort of decompression, then so be it. Yeah. You try you try as hard as you can to maybe not do something like that and to do something more, pleasing aesthetically or like just better for you. If not, it is what it is. Decompress somehow and keep going. That's it.
I agree.
Yeah. I guess that's it. I guess that's our little take on, I don't know, dealing with a lot of content out there, opinions out there, self-care, but also like self-improvement, that balance between the two schools of thought. And hopefully that's kind of useful to everyone out there too.
Yeah. And last thing I want to mention is, I know having this conversation really helped me, because it was a matter of there's just so much going on, but no one talks about it. So I'm glad that I was like feeling a little bit more relaxed and normalizing the thought of people feeling overwhelmed and tired. So I hope everyone who's listening to this also takes that away, and it's like, hey, it's normal for me to feel cloudy, gloomy, just not at my 100%. Yeah. Given the weather, given 30 other circumstances, it's okay. Just take a break. It'll be okay.
Yeah, I agree. That's all for this time then, I guess. Everyone have a great month. Hopefully we get through January. Yeah. A lot happier. Yay. Yeah. Canadian winter.
Love it. No, I don't.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah. All right, that's it. See ya.
Bye.